And we're live. Hi, everybody. It's me, Nettles. Welcome to my channel. You know how we do unhinged live stream. So today, hopefully you've watched my two videos before this, Dreamfyre is a Slut. They're really short videos. But hopefully you've watched it so you know what we're talking about. But even if you haven't, we will go over everything that I pretty much talk in the video and expound upon it. I don't take things personally. So like my goal here is to like rip apart my theory, and at the end we'll be like, oh my gosh, Nettles, you're so dumb, or like, oh my gosh, Nettles, you've done it. By Jove, you've done it. So we're gonna like pick it apart and just see if the theory stands sound, and then or maybe we'll see if there's like better candidates. So thank you everyone for being here. Let's hear from these people that you probably don't know who they are. Let's start with Westeros and Chill. Please introduce yourself and that reptile around your neck. What's going on here?
Hi, I'm Westeros and Chill. I do have a YouTube channel, and it's Westeros and Chill. Here is my snake. This is Sea Smoke. I sometimes call her Cece. I am a former zookeeper, and I have been in the fandom for, my God, a long time ago. I read the books several times. But yeah, that's pretty much me. You can follow me on YouTube.
Yay! Bitch Rhaenyra, what are you doing here, you fucking traitor? Just kidding.
Yeah, that sounds like back talk already, and I'm kind of fucking over it. So let's just button that up. Hi, I am the mother of Baggins on social media, and I just wanted to come and talk about dragons. So that's all I've got. That's all I'm doing here.
Who's that familiar that you got with you?
This is Baggins. He's the real star.
All right, awesome. Tinfoil Maester, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Tinfoil Maester. I'm also Hi Pikachu on Reddit, and I make wild tinfoil takes about references to pop culture like Looney Tunes and Macho Man Randy Savage, and also all tinfoil being real. Tyrion Targaryen is real, Bolton is real, Underground Rivers is the most important theory in the canon. Fight me about it later.
Wait a minute, could you just give us a little bit about Underground Rivers? Because I feel like I don't know that one.
So it's kind of the same as like secret tunnels. It's basically just like there are secret passageways which are variously described sometimes as like wormholes, black holes. Like it's very like sci-fi terminology hiding in plain sight. And I truly believe it is the answer to why in the later seasons of the show Varys and Baelish are able to fast travel, is because they're using secret tunnels, which are all really just the werewood net, because everything is just the werewood net.
Okay, that kind of, this is off topic. Oh my gosh, it's already unhinged. That kind of reminds me of like a bigger version of our good father Maegor's secret tunnels.
Oh, they're part of it.
Like just kind of like a, or maybe his is a replica of that. But anyways, we're here to talk about sex, dragons, and then the eggs that come from the sex and the dragons. Reese from Philly, the red dragon. You're saying you're dropping the link. I will drop the link if you have something to say, but it better be good, because I will roast you and everyone here will roast you if you come up on the stream talking some bullshit. But yeah, once we like get into it, if you have something to say, I'll drop the link and you can come in and speak your piece, and then I'll judge you for it. But yeah, let's just get started because we have a lot to cover. So like I said, I'm going to share the screen in a little bit, but like I said, we're going to be covering my theory. So basically my theory is saying that Daenerys' 3 dragon eggs comes from Dreamfyre, and Dreamfyre is special. That's why they come from Dreamfyre. And then basically I go into like the 3 different baby daddies. Like they weren't just laid in one clutch, that these dragons just came together over time. So for Balerion, the dad would be Drogon. Rhaegal, the dad would be Vagar. Vagar changes sex to become like the father, and then this is me remembering my own theory. And then Quicksilver is the father of Viserion, and that's because of like the coloring. So first things first, what I want to do is kind of like just go into like attacking myself and figuring out, hold on, let me share the screen with you lick spittle type people. So first of all, kind of just disproving my theory, and like going into like it not being Dreamfyre's egg. So the first thing I want to talk about, and like my guests, please like jump in whenever, is basically one of the theories is about the Volcran. So the Volcran, if you guys don't know, is from George R. R. Martin's like 1,000 Worlds, and like the Volcran are kind of they're an enigma, they're mysterious, but like they're described like in the show, because you know in the books like they describe it, but like you don't know, like we don't all visualize the same thing. But in the show they showed it as like a purple cloud, but in the books it's described as ships like great dark cities, still and silent, moving at a slower pace than the universe around them. So this speaks to them like not being bound by time. So they have to be like 5-dimensional beings or higher. But they move at a slower pace than the universe around them. So basically that means that when the comet was passing, that it was actually the Volcran. That's the theory, basically. I'm sorry it took me so long to get to it. But so, and the evidence for this is the fact that like the comet moves so freaking slow. Like when we see comets, it's like if you blink, you missed it, right? Or like you're hurrying home, like you could miss it in a matter of like minutes or hours. But in the books, all these POV characters are seeing the same comet, but this is like in a matter of like days, and sometimes it might be weeks, right? So the Volcran, because of whatever they are, they move slower. And so you would perceive them for a slower amount of time. Now, the point of the Volcran is that people believe that they're messengers of God or shadows from hell, but that they're a warning of impeding terror and destruction. So in George's other works, when the Volcran pass by or whatever, whenever they interact, people sometimes have like prophetic visions. And then all this destiny shit starts becoming like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So of course, like all these visions, magic coming back, all this stuff happening at the same time is like their influence because they want to warn you about the others or whatever. But so if the red comet was the Volcran, like what we perceive to be the Volcran, then that means that Daenerys is not special. That it happened because of the Volcran, it happened because of science, because George is an atheist, and it has nothing to do with Daenerys being special, it has nothing to do with the dragons, it has nothing to do with Dreamfyre being the mother of them, because it all doesn't matter. All right, what do you guys think about that?
I've got some thoughts. I don't know for sure about Dany is completely unspecial, because the most purple cloud thing I can think of in the canon is when Dany is in the House of the Undying, and there's I think described as like an indigo mist surrounding her. So, and that is the same book that has the comet, the Red Messenger. So if it's some kind of the House of the Undying and Dany's experience with like Drogon eating the corrupted heart are representations of some kind of Volcran interaction, and that's where like George's mind was heavily for like writing Clash of Kings. I feel like it still could be like Dany is whatever their chosen one or one of their chosen ones for whatever cosmic dragon birth purpose they've got, if we're going on this Volcran version.
I mean, do you think anybody could have hatched the dragon with the right blood magic?
Yeah, that, I mean, the theory when I like looked it up, it's just basically saying that like the Vulcan are the cause. It doesn't go into like what that means. But yeah, I think if the Vulcan theory is true, then like then it could have been anyone who happened to have them. Like Illyrio, if he still had them, maybe. But I don't know. Whatever. That's just one theory disproving it. Another one that would kind of disprove it is there's a fan theory. So when I originally did the videos, like I didn't look anything up. I just thought of like, who are Daenerys' eggs' parents? And then like I just did the research myself because I didn't want to be influenced by like Reddit or like anyone else. So I came up with it myself. But now for this video, I went and like researched what everyone else had said. And I was curious to see what people had, where they thought Daenerys' eggs came from before Fire and Blood came out. So I did find this Reddit post from 12 years ago, I believe. And basically it says that like, here, let me share it so you can see the like a visual. But basically they have like one good dragon candidate, and it's Viserion. And it's because of Brown Ben Plum. Basically, it's Elena Targaryen's egg. And let me just show you guys a quick. This is Elena Targaryen. You see her hair? That's the exact color of her egg. So I don't know. That's kind of like different and special, kind of like prophetic. But anyways, so the coloring is like Viserion's coloring. It's platinum white and bright golden. And then how the egg would have gotten to Westeros is that Elena, and remember, Elena is the daughter of Aegon III. She was one of the ones in the Maiden Vault. So that means Helena would have been, Helena was, not Helena, what's Helena's daughter? The one that, Jaehaera. Jaehaera was married to Aegon III for a little while. So she might have had Dreamfyre's egg, this egg, which is how it got passed down to Elena, maybe. But not after, so for Elena's third marriage, that's when she was married to, let me just go through this. Not long after Ronald's death, Elena married once more for love and for her own choosing. With King Daeron II's blessing, Elena was married to Sir Michael Manwoody. And he was a Dornishman who had attended the court of Queen Myra Martell. He was sent as an envoy to Braavos on several occasions. And there is record of correspondence between him and the key holders of the Iron Bank. And these letters were signed with Michael's name, but they were in Elena's handwriting, which shows that like these letters were found like in Braavos, meaning that she was either with him or she sent him. And maybe in these negotiations, like the egg was the payment for like a favor she needed. I don't know. This is just my imagination. This is tinfoil. This is my imagination going. But this is how that specific egg would have ended up with in Braavos.
As trade of payment to somebody else outside of House Targaryen?
I don't know. I'm just saying that why she, just an example. I'm not like sold on
right.
That. But I'm just, or she freaking lost it there, or she had it with her and someone stole it, like a maid stole it while they were cleaning up her stuff. I don't know.
I feel like you would have to steal it to get it away from a Targaryen.
Maybe like it doesn't, like if it's already calcified, maybe she doesn't think that it's as valuable because she thinks that the dragon really is dead inside of it, but whatever. Shit. The other connection is that Brown Ben Plum, who is the descendant of Viserys Plum, her first husband. So listen to this quote. Her captains bowed and left her with her handmaids and her dragons. But as Brown Ben was leaving, Viserion spread his pale white wings and flapped lazily at his head. One of the wings buffeted the sellsword in his face. The white dragon landed awkwardly with one foot on the man's head and one on his shoulder, shrieked, and flew off again. He likes you, Ben, said Dany. So it's interesting that this specific dragon that we're thinking is Elena's dragon, or dragon egg, who is Brown Ben is a direct descendant of Viserys Plum, like happens to like him. And then the names Viserys Plum, Viserys Targaryen, and then Viserion. So it's almost like that egg is named after all three iterations of its name, like Viserys Plum, which is like, you know, the reason why it would have ended up with Daenerys. And then the egg is named after Viserys' brother, Viserys Targaryen, and then obviously the name is Viserion. Then they have Balerion's egg being from Ambrose Butterwell, because that egg is red with golden flecks and black whorls, and saying that maybe it was stolen with that whole charade thing that happens with the egg swap, maybe. And then Rhaegal is Aegon V's egg because it's described white with green swirls. And these color matches do not exactly match Daenerys's eggs.
No.
But this is tinfoil. We're stretching it. And people think that maybe the eggs darkened over time. Or just people misremembered the colors. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's interesting. There's something very Rhaegar coded about married for love, guy from Dorne kind of being TOJ-esque, had the harp imagery, singer imagery, and I had an effigy commissioned of you that's kind of breaking from what tradition would have. Is all very like Rhaegar Lyanna, which could tie into like an overarching secret the dragons away to the Free Cities or Winterfell or wherever, like plot echo thing. I'm not entirely sold on all of the elements.
Yeah.
I feel like saying Elena is more Viserion tied than any other Targaryen because of hair color. Like they all have like silver to gold hair. So I don't specifically know if I find that part as compelling as the rest. I've got my own very undead heavy tinfoil about Brown Ben Plum and Maynard Plum, aka Blood Raven, Pale Dragons, that could be on the opposite end of this. I'm trying not to derail too much into like my very like lengthy tinfoil and just give my like initial response to what we've got. So like there's some interesting stuff there. The color combination of like the Butterwell egg and the Drogon egg is of interest to me. So like there could be something there, but I'm not fully sold either way.
Westeros and Chill, do you have anything?
You know, that part with Viserion and Brown Ben Plum, I didn't recall that part. That's pretty interesting. That does seem weirdly significant as far as his writing. But as far as who the eggs are from, you know, I don't see any other option other than Alyssa Farman and her taking the eggs over to if she sold them to the Sea Lord of Bravos.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the question of how did they end up in Pentos after all that time? Although, you know, if people think that these are just artifacts and they're dead eggs, you know, they're not going to hatch. There's no way to make them hatch. Then really they're just pretty stones, aren't they? So they could get changed hands 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And that seems, that idea and that thought of something so grandiose being kind of like treated with such, you know, like mundaneness. That's very George R. R. Martin too.
Yeah.
So I really think they were Alyssa Farman's. There's not much that can convince me, but those details are really interesting.
Yeah, because like I was just curious to know, like, what did people think before Fire and Blood came out? Because those are always like interesting. Another thing that people were saying is that Daenerys's eggs are different than the Targaryen eggs, just because kind of mixing a little bit of the show lore with book lore, but saying that like Daenerys's dragons grow quicker than what kind of like the Targaryens did, and like their size, that these eggs don't come from castle dragons. Castle dragons got smaller oversized because they had a smaller ranging. They had to kind of stay in the courtyard or maybe just that city. Whether ancient dragons from Asshai and Valyria, they had a country to roam. So they were bigger. So they were saying that, no, basically the theory says that, no, these dragons came from Asshai. Like Illyrio was telling the truth about that.
Did Asshai dragons roam free in the country, or did they stir beneath mountains?
Ooh.
Yeah,
I don't
thought they
know.
lived in
That was random, sorry.
Well, the people from Asshai, because remember they said that they had bred them and trained them, and then they showed the Valyrian. So that means that
I think
would've
Westeros and Chill has information about that, exactly how they grow. I think Westeros and Chill is going to tell us exactly how they grow.
Yeah.
Yes. So actually, reptiles grow by caloric intake. So that means that they grow by how much they're eating, and how much calories they are intaking, and that's how much they grow. That's the rate of the growth. So they actually don't have really a set rate of growth like mammals do. It all depends on how much you're feeding them. So a snake, for example, that's fed less in its life, which they don't need to eat as often. And in nature, they have to hunt for their food, so they might not find a meal as often. They're going to stay a lot smaller. So that's a common misconception that reptiles grow to the size of the tank they're in. It actually doesn't have to do with it. It's all about what they're eating.
That's so crazy. That? I said, I've always heard that they grow to the size of the tank. See, this is why so I'm bringing you guys scientific knowledge. All right, this ain't just like nerds.
You know what? We should have known it was bullshit the moment it came out of Jorah Mormont's mouth.
Nice.
But okay, so that's basically what I have for these are not Alyssa Farman's, basically just ripping holes in my theory. But I do have a little bit of proof basically saying that it is. This was me making an argument for my own theory. Yes, but I have this George R. R. Martin quote. Basically, he says that in magic, it's not just the recipe or the words of the spell. It's who you are, who's doing it, what you're feeling when you're doing it. The Valyrians, while practicing their blood magic and fire magic, noticed that it didn't matter whether you pronounced the words of the spell right, whether you made the correct sacrifice to the correct god. All of that may have had some importance, but one of the big things were who you are and what was your relation, particularly with the dragons. So I just to interpret all that, it means that George is saying that the reason Daenerys was able to perform that magic feat is not because of the spell or the ingredients and the sacrifice. It's because of who she is. It's because she's special. And so that just convinces me that it's important for these eggs to be special. It's important for Dreamfyre to be the dragon out of all the named dragons, to be the mother, because I believe she's special. What do you guys think about that?
I'm definitely Alyssa Farman's eggs are either definitely the eggs or there is a red herring. There's just way too much, specifically with the note about maybe they'll end up in the hands of a Pentoshi spicemonger. It's just way too close.
Oops, sorry.
And the other thing I was gonna say is I feel like there's a magic runs on vibes, kind of it's not hard rules. There's symbolism and themes that come before a fixed chemistry. So it can be variable based on what the themes call for. I think the reptiles grow based on caloric intake feeds perfectly into dragons are this all-consuming thing and will grow and grow and grow as much as they can consume, and that is as much their literal what they do as it is the metaphorical embodied threat
of fire. They're fire made flesh, and fire will always consume until you fucking stop it. You have to stop fire. Fire not going to stop
Right.
itself.
And magic is a sword without a hilt.
Yeah.
So you can't grasp it safely. There's no predicting it.
And I
really.
think that once those eggs leave Targaryen hands, their value kind of lessens as they go along. I would think that the first like couple generations of people that had those eggs were like, I'm gonna hatch these fucking eggs. Like I'm the one, you know? And they probably tried, yeah, I'm special. Probably tried a lot of hatchings. And by the time, you know, like they're like, oh fuck, I'm just gonna sell them. And so while they're still really valuable, if they can't be hatched, and Dany is special because she hatched the eggs, but was she special because the power is where you believe it is? And so
Yes.
like, was the magic working because she's like, this witch said,
Yes.
only death can pay for life? And, you know, like, could it have been anyone who believed? Like
I think there's something for, like, who you are is less like you're a blood messiah and more, I'm assuming just based on like kind of George's like idealism, it's because Dany brought this like pure of heart intent. I am selling everything not for my own power, but because I want to like revive and protect Drogo, or like protect my Khalasar from this like emerging chaos. So I think she is special, and her specialness comes from like a quality of character that probably could be like anyone could have it, and it doesn't require like a special genetic profile, but it's special and rare, and Daenerys is unique because she's the one who does that at that time.
And, you know, we'll never know the difference, whether it's like, is she special because she's born that way, or is she special because she chooses? Like, she has that character. Well, she's both. Like, she has the famous last name. She has the Targaryen blood. But she also has, like, that hunger inside of her where, like, she's the one. Like, she is the dragon. Like, you know, everyone knows that I shit on Sansa, so here's an opportunity for me to shit on Sansa. I mean, you take Sansa and you put her in Daenerys's predicament, being married to Drogo, Sansa would just shut down. No, this is happening to me. I can't believe it. Oh my God, feel sorry for me.
yeah, what a shitty 11-year-old.
Huh?
So what a shitty 11-year-old.
No, well, I mean, Daenerys is 13. Like, it's not like this, not that big of an age.
She's raised on the streets, though.
But
And also,
Daenerys,
which Sansa is like, game Sansa is very different from like Feast Sansa Lane.
yeah, but that's because Sansa has like all this experience in court, but Daenerys innately knows that, like, yes, this is awful, it's happening to me, but what am I going to do about it? Like, immediately. And she takes destiny into her own hands. Like, that's what I mean by like that fire, that hunger, that not everyone has that. Like, it's not even a dig at Sansa to say that she doesn't have that in the same way, that she has to, like, instead of it being innate, she has to like learn and fight for that to get to that point. But I'm just saying that Sansa's regular. Sansa's like everyone else. But Daenerys is extraordinary because she has that extra if that makes sense.
She got an extra layer of stank. She was raised on the streets. She had to fight for what she has.
Right. She has the dragon's blood, which George R.R. Martin has said was significant, like that the Targaryens have this dragon's blood. But it is a combination of both because, like you said, she grew up on the streets, basically, or with some guy who they owed, you know, they felt like they owed him something. And that shadow hanging over your whole life is super significant and makes you the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not indomitable, but sort of like that. Resilient person that can hatch dragons.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and then, you know, it's kind of like the difference between like Jon and Robb. Like, I feel like Jon is closer to Daenerys and like he has like a little bit more fight in him because of his woeful upbringing. He's able to view life in a different way. But yeah, Pod, who is an awful person, he says Dany has her dragons and Sansa lost her wolf. I guess that means that, like, cut Sansa some slack since she doesn't have a familiar, but whatever.
Don't start with me.
Don't start with the Sansa. Okay, so here are my next few points, kind of speaking my case here, which is that
Real quick, do we want to work in our other reptile friend?
yes. Did
Time
we? Oh my gosh, I want to. Yes, let's work that in.
Oh, do you mean Vagar?
Yeah.
Yes, I was pretty sure.
Okay. Just give me a moment here. Let me get my assistant to help me. My husband.
Okay.
One sec.
Okay.
We'll get her out in just a moment.
In a moment. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, I didn't want to miss it since I know we were on a time frame. Also, really quickly, someone in chat noted cheesemonger. And yes, in Fire and Blood, someone, I think Barth or Jaharis or someone is like speculating, a Pentoshi, they say spicemonger will wind up with like some very expensive stones.
Well,
And,
cheeky.
like, the
comment.
Pentoshi blank monger thing,
Yeah.
I feel very Illyrio-y, especially because Illyrio does also trade in spices. Like, it's not his main thing, which is cheese, but
And we get like another. Remember he hung them the hands in his tent like a string of onions, and Davos. Like we get little kind of cheeky references like that of the people we know and love. But yes, I do think that one in particular is a Fire and Blood Easter egg.
So the other thing I wanted to note is just that that Dany hatched the 3 eggs in a Dreamfyre. See, Dreamfyre, get it? Dreamfyre.
That is so awesome.
Dreamfyre.
Nice.
Hello.
I think that is one of the biggest things that like sold me on. Yes, Dreamfyre is like a Dany in dragon form, and like
Yeah.
got 3 important men, giving her 3 dragon spawn.
And then look at this. This is a secret spoiler for from this is. I just wanted to show you guys George R.R. Martin's website. I'm not, showing you guys anything that can't be proved. So this was when the book Fire and Blood came out, and basically, you guys can't see this. Share this. You guys can't even see this. Okay, now you can see it. Okay, now you can see it. All right. So as you can see, this is George R. R. Martin's website. When Fire and Blood came out, this blurb right here, it says centuries before, blah, 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 blah. This paragraph right here. What really happened during the Dance of the Dragons? Why did it become so deadly to visit Valyria? What is the origin of Daenerys' 3 dragon eggs? These are but a few of the questions answered in this essential chronicle. Blah, blah, blah. So if that doesn't scream, and there's a little controversy about that because some people say that George took it off. Oh, what's up?
We're getting her out right now.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a process. Sorry.
No, good.
Get ready for Vagar, you guys.
We love the suspense and anticipation. Some people, because I was able to log on to the website and see it, but people said that he took it off because it was incorrect. But you just saw that I logged on in real time and it's there. So it's basically saying that the answer is in Fire and Blood. And I've listened to the audiobook and I have the book and I've read it. And that's the only inference where I could think that that's what they're talking about. What do you guys think?
Reasonable. Yeah.
I'm super excited. I'm a firm believer.
Here's this big old snake.
Vagar.
This is Vagar.
The great Vagar.
Yeah.
We get up close. She's a Burmese python.
Yes.
And she's a special granite morph. Morphology is one thing I wanted to talk about as far as the dragons and their coloration. So, she's grabbing my computer. I don't know how long I can have her on the camera because this is kind of small room. And she's a huge animal. But this is her. This is the kind of snakes I have dealt with for, I don't know, I think 12, 13 years now as a former zookeeper and as a now pet owner of Burmese python.
Wow.
So the doctor says, oh my God, is this the same snake from the other streams? Yes.
No, I've never showed her before.
Not.
Maybe the game draw says Vagar is cool. I agree. Appropriately named. Holy cow.
And she's heavy. Yeah, she's the biggest one we have.
How much does she weigh?
Let me see. Oh, she's grabbing the chair right now.
Oh,
I want to say probably like 40 to 50 pounds.
wow.
She's like, I'm taking it all down with me. Respect.
I know. She's totally grabbing the chair with the other.
She wants to sit down and be on the stream.
Want this lumbar support.
I know.
Wants to offer the wisdom of the serpents.
That memory though, it's coming with me.
Oh wow, Vhagar. Well,
so this is what happens when you feed them a lot. So in regards to why Drogon might have grown bigger and faster, it's not their range. Actually, most reptiles are incestuous because of their range. Their range is not that big because they don't want to go very far because it's spending too much calories. And that does follow with dragon lore because dragons are often portrayed sleeping, right?
Right.
right.
They're lazy. They don't want to work if they don't have to. That's one thing I really love about them.
Yeah.
You mess with them and you bring them the adventure.
Oh, the doctor says, what a big girl. I love her.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. She's a big girl.
How much does she eat a day? Or do you not feed her every day?
How many sheep?
Well, at this size, a full-grown adult, we would feed her. Oops, there goes the light.
She's taking your lighting, too. She's trying. Sabotage.
Listen,
Cannot tame a dragon.
No, you cannot. She totally took out the lighting.
Okay. Because it was making her
at this size, we feed her like a big rabbit every couple weeks.
Okay,
every like 2 to 3 weeks.
Damn.
Oh my
In
God.
nature, these guys can get so big that they eat like goats and deer and stuff. So, but we make sure not to feed her that much so she doesn't grow that big.
Yeah.
Which is fine for their health.
Because 14 feet is...
It's already big. She's already making me sweat here.
Does anyone speak parcel tongue? Cody wants to know.
Well, yeah, I kind of speak it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have all these snakes.
Wow.
She's going on the computer.
I told you. She's a star.
Like, why is it looking at me?
Where's Baggins? You should have had Baggins view this.
No.
Wolf
I'm gonna put it to Baggins' face. How dare you?
Wolf versus dragon. Let's see who's the.
Look, we did it. We made Ice and Fire.
It would just be like a big animal coming at Baggins and me crying with a knife, being like, "Mommy will save you, Baggins."
Yeah, sorry, Baggins is exactly meal-sized for her. So.
I would say so.
But it's okay. She lives in a room. She has a whole room, and there's a thumb. We have like a thumbprint lock on the room, so only my husband and I have access to it.
That's awesome. And she lives with zookeepers, people who like exactly.
Good life.
I am a professional. So is my husband. He was a former zookeeper too.
That's
Bilingual.
Gorgeous.
Yep. Parcel tongue bilingual zookeepers. Best parents ever.
Okay. So she took out my lighting and she's taking out like everything right now, including wires and stuff. So I'm gonna put her back.
Just like in the show, Vhagar's changing the timeline.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Vhagar doesn't listen.
She's totally got the chair. Look at this.
Speak Valyrian to her. Sovetis! Sovetis Vhagar!
We name the bunnies after Vhagar's actual victims, like one Lucerys.
Listen to me, Vhagar.
Nikiti.
Come on.
No, Vhagar, no! I'm not even going to say that because...
A little bit of relevant feeding scaly animals in tanks lore. George's novel Sand Kings, featuring hive minds, was inspired by visiting a friend or a roommate and watching them like feed goldfish to like their pet piranha and just kind of like putting himself in the mind of like the goldfish.
Right.
The maw.
So
that's good inspiration.
Right. I love hearing like what was the thing that was like the germ of the idea. Like Ice and Fire was a boy seeing an execution and finding a dead wolf in the snow, which tells a lot about like, oh yeah, Bran is actually kind of the center of the story.
Yes. Yeah. People were mad at King Bran, but I don't know.
I've made peace with it. I've come to understand.
As long as he's evil, so it can have a point.
I do not believe he is the moral young boy he was. I think he gets mercy killed by Arya, but now we're deep into my tinfoil.
I think when you wait long enough for books, like at first you're like, it'll happen, and then you start to just like figure out what you can live with. Like, I would love for Podrick Payne to live. He's a sweet boy. I want him to live. So I think now we just we're like, all right, fine. What would we be okay with in the end if that's where we're all at?
You get what you get and you like it. So here's my last little point to make my argument. And it's about Illyrio. Illyrio's special, guys. Listen to this quote from the book. This is from A Dance of Dragons, Tyrion 2. In Myr, Varys was a prince of thieves until a rival thief informed on him. In Pentos, his accent marked him, and once he was known for a eunuch, he was despised and beaten. Why he chose me to protect him, I may never know. But we came to an arrangement. Varys spied on lesser thieves and took their offerings. I offered my help to their victims, promising to recover their valuables for a fee. So basically what that means is that they would steal from people, then say, hey, I can help you find that thing that you lost. Let me help you, but you have to pay me. And so return the item to them for a fee. So so basically it's like, it's poetic that Illyrio has something that belongs to Daenerys, which is the eggs, and she's giving it back to her, but we just don't know what the fee is. What do you guys think of that?
I'm very into this. I fully believe that Varys and Illyrio are magically affiliated, and that's like one of the cruxes of how the mysteries work is, yeah, Varys is magic, Illyrio is magic. It's not like, so my thinking here is they gave Dany the eggs because they thought she would hatch the eggs, and that's the answer to why would they do all this stuff if their real goal is young Griff. Their real goal is dragon magic, and they sent Dany off as far as possible, basically like you would do with like a nuclear test, like just send him out into the ocean or to the desert. So this,
let's see what happens from far away, like with the binoculars.
Right? Get real far away. Maybe we'll have some like little birds tell us what happened.
Yeah, because Varys remembers Summerhall, not like remembers like he was there, but like a collective memory. Like when you try to hatch dragons, it's a big deal. Like, be far away from it. So he probably passed that information along to Illyrio. Like, make sure you're far away. Okay, so the next thing I wanted, so we just covered like why it might not work, but why it does work. So we're in agreement that these are Alyssa Farman's eggs. Now I want to talk about dragon.
Hold on, I just want to take a moment and say, fuck you, Pod.
Fuck you, Pod. Pod's Rhaenyra looks like an 80s hair metal band member. Because
what's wrong with that?
Wait, I think all four of us are.
I took the mature route and said, because your mom's Chester.
We're all giving that vibe because that's the way to be, okay, Pod?
Ice and Fire
is Rhaenyra rolls, okay?
Bitches.
Just don't give a fuck.
So yeah, I want to talk about dragon nature, and of course, Westeros and Chill. I definitely want you to kind of take the lead on this a little bit, but I just want to do some book stuff. Basically, in the books, according to Bart's on Natural History, this is what we think are the origins of the dragons. So first, we have the Valyrians that claim that dragons sprang forth from the 14 flames, a ring of volcanoes on the Valyrian Peninsula. In Karth, we have that tales state that dragons came from a second moon in the sky, which was scalded by the sun, cracked like an egg, and a million dragons poured forth. We have dragons being related to fireworms, basically saying just science. Barth put forth that the theory that the dragons were created by Valyrian blood mages using wyvern stock, so blood and magic and science. And then we have that dragons are also said to have originated from the Shadowlands beyond Ashai and the islands of the Jade Sea. Ancient tales from Ashai claim that an unnamed people first tamed these dragons, brought them to Valyria, and taught the Valyrians their arts before departing from the annals of history. So that's what Barth has to say. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say, starting with Westeros and Chill. Like, what I mean by what I want to know where you think the dragons came from.
I think they came from Ashai, and that they brought their ways over to Valyria, and that's where they came from because the volcanoes were the perfect habitat for them. Reptiles can invade. They will set up shop anywhere where they can survive, and which is, where they can thrive, really. And all those volcanoes over by Valyria, it definitely seems like they could invade that. So I definitely think they came from Ashai. I also think, so part of George R.R. Martin is like, what if fantasy was real? What if the lines between magic and science were a little bit blurred? What if this really happened in reality, right? So we can there's kind of two schools of thought on the dragons as far as I see it. There's, in the show House of the Dragon, it kind of leads me to believe that they're just big beasts. Let me see. Let me just review my notes really quick.
Nerd.
Two schools. The show seems to imply that dragons are really controlled by their instincts, which is similar to reptiles in real life. They have often been revered as magical and mystical throughout human history. Like we have dragons, we came up with dragons, right? Maybe they were dinosaurs that didn't quite go extinct yet, and now they're extinct. Who knows? But, right, exactly. But there's two schools of thought. There's either like that they're controlled by their instincts, like the show seems to imply. For example, monitor lizards, they do bond with one keeper, and they do trust one person versus other people, and it's often just one person. So that is kind of for example, they don't also have an amygdala, which is the center of the brain for emotions. So technically, reptiles can't feel emotions, but they do trust one person. And that doesn't mean they won't bite that person if the person moves too fast or smells like mice or something like that.
Like a dragon.
Right. And so there's also that they're magical. And there's also elephants who have a much bigger amygdala than humans. So technically that means they're more emotionally intelligent than us. Mm-hmm. So maybe dragons have an evolved amygdala and they're even more emotionally intelligent than us. And that's where the magic comes in. So I think either it's seeing it as these are beasts or seeing it as these are magical creatures who are somehow more evolved than us, which, Tyrion quotes that in the show. And no, he doesn't say it in the book. He just says it in the show. So who knows? But
so I have a question. So you said that you think they come from Ashai, but obviously from like volcanoes. So what do you think is so special about Ashai that they couldn't have come from the Valyrian volcanoes? Like the same circumstances that they came to be in Ashai, but just in Valyria.
Because Ashai is magical. So either they are magical beings or they're beasts. I think it's that's the two schools of thought, right? So if they are more magical than they are beasts, then they come from Ashai. If they are more beasts than magic, then they come from Valyria and they evolved from the wyverns there. I actually have a hard time deciding myself which has the better case. But I do, at the end of the day, I think they're more magical, and I think they're from Ashai.
Well, Bitch Rhaenyra, where do you think the dragons came from?
Well, I like the idea that they come from Ashai. I think that it matters that when Bran is out, he sees a dragon stirring, beneath the shadows of his shy. And
Right.
we are told he's seeing, past, future things that haven't happened yet, like the beginning. And maybe that was the beginning. Maybe that was the first stirring. Yeah, I like it.
Tinfoil?
Tim.
I need a bit of a drink for this one because I'm about to go deep into my tinfoil.
Ah.
I think they come from hell.
Cheers.
I think it come from hell.
I think, in a way, so we know that at least in one Carthian myth, the moon, a celestial body, births dragons. It's an egg or a pregnant goddess from which dragons or moon meteors that are dragons, however that interpretation works, dragons come out of the geology, out of the planet-sized thing.
So a science hell, not a religion hell?
Little bit of both. Like it's very like Westeros was saying, kind of like, what if we met religious stuff and applied science concepts to it? And kind of, if you've seen like the Alien franchise, all like the evil corporations that meet the aliens and are like, yeah, what if we like harness this for profit? I feel like the experience of like the Valyrians, maybe Ashai, maybe the Great Empire of the Dawn, they found bat-winged fire creatures from deep within the earth, which that's just all demon imagery. Like it's George loves what if hell was actually angels? What if the angels were actually demons? What if the Bible isn't as we perceive it? Way of Cross and Dragon is very heavy on this. Judas is a tragic and misunderstood character, and St. Peter is a villain with good press. And also Judas had a dragon empire, just keeping it all in the same wheelhouse. So I think the whole under the mountains is also a hint to dragons come from subterranean fire, and I believe they're meant to be seen as like a god, a divinity, or a demon, or angelic, otherworldly, non-human. Definitely, I think smarter than us, or at the very least, in like the cosmic horror, the universe is indifferent to humanity and its like cares. Like their motivations are different and perhaps unknowable. Much like the way Corrin describes like dire wolves. You can't know a wild thing. They do wild things for wild reasons. Dire wolves and dragons sort of being two sides of that. They behave kind of outside human comprehension because they are god angel demons.
Other dimensional. Yeah. When you said they came from hell, I thought that was interesting because it could be a metaphor, like, but coming from hell to me seems like coming from another dimension because they're needed at that time. Like kind of like tinfoil and Volcran coated and like, yeah.
I can believe it. Is both, or it's meant to be like we won't super confirm exactly which one it was, and there's like open to interpretation even at like the end of it of like which one it will be, as sort of George kind of liking that vibe of what was it really. I'm not gonna like spell it out for it. I'll let you decide.
So I have this comment from Phil: which came first, the dragon or the egg? Let me show you guys something. Talking about, great minds think alike and how awesome the fandom is. Look at this. I mean, this. Look at what I wrote.
I'm not gelatinizing eggs.
Which came first, the dragon or the egg? Well, yeah, we're gonna get to that. But
and Cody Latchney, the comment that they're related to the Shadow Binders of Ashai. One thing I also forgot to mention about them being from Ashai is there's a quote in the book. So when Drogon gets all the spears in him in Dance of Dragons or Dance with Dragons, it describes his blood as hot, black, and smoking. It fell to the ground. And then also in Dance with Dragons, Melisandre's blood trickles down her thigh, hot, black, and smoking. So he describes the blood in the exact same way as he describes Melisandre's blood. So to me, that also kind of gives us a hint that they're from Ashai.
And there's also a Black Blood of Demons thing, which I think is also, was that Ashai or Valyria? I do not remember where that quote is from.
I don't
So
remember.
I think dragons come. I don't think I mentioned this one, but like I just think it comes from the Valyrians because of sex. Yeah, sex. Always gotta tie it back to sex. Like they are saying to be like mating the slave women with the dragons to like come up with like the bond, because the dragons just don't exist by themselves. They're not like sheep and lions just running around. The dragons exist in connection with humans. Like I feel like humans were always able to ride dragons because humans made them as a weapon. So like maybe the Ashai people did that, but I like it being the Valyrians doing it just because I see like a gemstone emperor descendant running away to Valyria and starting all this shit. Like it all just kind of makes sense to me. I'm just choosing to believe it. But if someone says the exact same thing happened in Ashai, then I'd be fine with that. Like as far as like mages, magic people, scientists looking people all coming together to make this thing. And unfortunately, the sacrifices that is pain. Like the fact that some random slave or hundreds of slaves were mating with these dragons to produce something so wonderful. But I want to read what the audience thinks. Hi, Octopus with no friends. Phil H says, interesting is the domestication. Some animals are considered to not be able to be domesticated. And George R. R. Martin has said the same thing about the dragons. I guess that's what you were saying, Westeros and Chill, about the amygdala. I wonder if he thought reptiles being okay with one person like the dragons are supposed to be. The same thing as what you were saying is that you said they would trust. Is that the word to use?
They have trust, but technically, scientifically speaking, we don't know if they can love because of the amygdala. But they do trust one person. Monitor lizards are the most intelligent reptiles. So I believe if there's anything dragons are modeled after, it's probably them. And they do just tend to trust one keeper, and they recognize their one keeper.
And it looks like affection, right? Because like I have a friend with like several, he had the bearded dragon and iguana, and I mean just several different kinds of lizards, and they all like really liked him. Like they would just sit on his shoulder, or like, and it looked like they were, snuggling him almost.
Right. And iguanas too. Iguanas are very intelligent as well. They tend to just trust one person. And so who knows, the science isn't really out on whether or not they can love without an amygdala, but it does look like affection, and it can. You can definitely, I trained a tegu, which is a large type of monitor lizard, to roll over. So who knows? They've been taught to count. They're pretty intelligent as far as reptiles go. So,
dang.
Then we have old new dude waving from the car. Hello.
Love you, old new dude.
Claude, who says crossbreeding wyverns and worms. So now this makes me think that, like, what if it's everything that we talked about? What if it is like people from Ashai breeding these out of wyverns and worms? All they do is produce the animal. But then in Valyria, when they get dragons, they're the ones that breed them with the slaves to create the dragon bond, which kind of makes them a different animal, like more magical. And then like, yeah, what if it's everything?
I'm always a believer in it's everything. Sci-fi and horror and fantasy and Bible and Lovecraft and angels and demons and fae and vampires.
My money is on dragons and shadow binders from Ashai being interconnected somehow. Crossbreeding with a hint of blood magic and a pinch of fire magic. See, that's nice. So let me see. Sunshine and Dog says, not sure if this was asked already, but do you, Nettles, think that Nettles use magic to get sheep story, or do you think she has target blood? But I go back and forth depending on my mood. If I'm feeling like one drop,
she, depending on the day of her relationship with Daemon. Hey-o.
Right. Sometimes I feel like it's important for the story to show that, like, the black-haired Targaryens can, like, you don't have to be an incestuous Targaryen, that like one drop is enough, and not all Targaryens look alike, and like, so Nettle, and like, or that, like, you know, showing how they showed the Valerians, like Nettles could be like a different type of Valyrian bloodline, that's able to claim dragons. And then other times I'm like, yeah, what if she's still special but not Targaryen or Valyrian? What if she like sang a song and it was so beautiful and haunting that she connected? Because now we're learning that dragons love to sing. Why did they show us in the show that Daemon had to have a whole, you know, solo singing to Vermithor? Why? What is that?
Well, and in her later years, we see like the only thing we ever see of her again, right, is when she's in the Mountains of the Moon and they're giving her the fire witch in the cave blessings and being burnt by her creature. Maybe she's special.
Yeah. So it makes me think like whatever. So I don't know. It depends on what story they're trying to tell. I'm not like, I don't know. Like I said, 50-50. Sorry.
Can I drop some tinfoil on it?
Well,
Yeah.
in regards to the singing, you know, reptiles have these sensors on the end of their snouts called, well, snakes have heat pits, but also they sense vibration. All reptiles sense vibration. And so do sharks. And they have proven that sharks actually respond to music underwater.
Dang.
So you might be onto something. The vibrations, because I mean, reptiles are the same the way they feel vibrations. So why wouldn't music have an effect on them too?
Tinfoil, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. My wild shot in the dark tinfoil is that Nettles is reincarnated back in time spirit, like same spirit, Wheel of Time style reincarnated, maybe backwards through time magic. It's Arya. Nettles is time traveling Arya. Nettles' whole job is to like care for the Brandchild, which like Arya does in many ways, and in like the original drafts that I kind of try not to deal with, but like the 2-page outline where it's not like Jojen and Mira, it's Kat and Arya who go with Bran north of the Wall. Like Arya,
that is some tinfoil. Cat and Arya.
there's a lot of Arya. Oh, sorry, and Leaf is also involved. Arya, Leaf, Nettles, and Old Nan are all the same person in this tinfoil. Michael talks about stuff is a great.
I was just about to say. Now let me get into my Michael's talks about stuff tinfoil.
Michael talks about stuff is so good.
So that one is that Leaf is Nettles because she walked around in the time of the dragons. Leaf is Nettles, and in the story, Nettles keeps disappearing and reappearing. Now she's in the Vale. Now she's here. People don't know how old she is, and all this stuff. So it's like that's how a child of the forest interacts with the world. Like they're so mysterious. Like you don't know if it's an adult, if it's a child, if it's whatever. And then they say that she becomes Old Nan because that would explain the dragon that Bran as Summer saw, that no one in the fandom can explain what is the dragon that Summer saw. And they're like, well, it's Old Nan getting the fuck out of Dodge and like whistling up her dragon out from the heat underneath Winterfell. Because like, can dragons, maybe I'm asking like in a magic world, can dragons hibernate for like 100 years?
I 1,000,000% think yes.
Reptiles hibernate. It's called brumation.
And I have a whole lot of dragons are bears tinfoil. Everything is the planet is pregnant with a magic shape-shifting animal that has elements of wolf, lion, bear, dragon,
Stag.
Stag. And it's possible that it is trapped by itself, and it is simultaneously like serpent and world tree, both like snake in the garden and tree of knowledge, Jormungandr and Yggdrasil, and Ouroboros because it's eating itself. And yeah, the whole thing being like the planet is pregnant / infested / infected, has in like a very xenomorph way a thing inside it that wants to like come free and be born or like a new world being born.
You mean the thing that attacked Balerion and caused Balerion to die?
That's the species.
Okay.
Yes, no, this is all very related. Anytime dragons are underground, anything to do with worms. My favorite is the sigil of House Saltcliffe, which is like a 9-headed black snake. I believe that the beast beneath the boards and the boards themselves are like the werewood roots circling underneath the earth, and the souls trapped within them, either inside like an egg yolk, or like the way we seem like we quite kind of understand the werewood net, which like the souls are literally in the wood. So
Yeah.
either way, it is contained within the wood beneath the earth. This is also giants waking from the earth, birthing the dragon from stone. Why we get phrases like the eerie being pregnable, womb of the world, mother of mountains. The geology is pregnant with dragons, and bears are also part of this, partly because of sleeping and sleeping in dens, and because of the wordplay puns of like bear an animal, and bear children. There's also why boars are super significant. I said I wouldn't make this just my tinfoil hour, but yes, dragons are bears because they sleep in a den beneath the earth, and also because of like mother maternal, like mama bear is like put it in the bear imagery.
Okay, so there's a lot of comments. I'm kind of going through them, just so that we can keep going. But Reese from Philly says, "Do you think Melisandre will be in House of the Dragon? She's hundreds of year old." I mean, if they want ratings, if they want like a quick little fanfic fan service, they better fucking do it. Yeah, I think the show needs it. I think the show needs fan service because, like I said, I'm bored. I'm bored. Octopus with Friends says, I love monitored lizards. I used to have a 7-foot crocodile monitor. I love that dragon. She sat on my shoulder. I'd like Annie. Godzilla seems affectionate in the movies, Pod has to say.
Crocodile monitors are really crazy. That's a very dangerous reptile.
Do the little geckos that lived in my front porch love me like I think they do? They will let me pet them on the head with my finger.
Sure,
Yes,
why not?
they love you.
Yes.
You should listen to what Westeros says because she has the actual knowledge. But I am going to say they love you, and you're their mom.
And you're their mother now.
All
The
right.
mother of
So, Lady Thistle says, I like the idea that power, red magic, resides where the man believes it resides, and Nettles believed in herself enough to make the magic happen. So, yeah, like non-Targaryen blood able to do it too. It's possible George was showing there are other ways besides Targaryen. Yep, going off of that. We like the music ideas. Lana Del Rey. Listen, I actually do love Lana Del Rey a lot. Thistle says, "Gods, this discussion is so good." Ooh, don't toot us. Old New Dude says, "I love the old Nan theory." Yeah, Michael, what's it called?
Michael talks about stuff.
Talks about stuff. Magic Moon Egg Beast. I did for a long time love the egg coming from the moon idea, but come on, man, we're grown ups.
The moon is the egg.
We don't believe in that no more. That's like that was like the first grade level of being a fan. Now we're on to other stuff. Sir Duncan the Tall fanfic. Cool. Pupper's talking to you. Pupper is talking to you, Phil H says. All right, so let's get back on track. So more about the dragon nature. This is a quick thing. I just wanted to say that dragon bone is as strong as steel. And I wonder, so dragon bone is as strong as steel, but it's lighter, far more flexible, and impervious to fire. So why do you guys think, why aren't more weapons made out of dragon bone? I mean, I know it's a scarce material. You got to find a dead dragon, but once you do, you're going to have a lot of fucking material. Why don't they make swords out of it since it has the same elements as Valyrian steel and Dawn? Light, but stronger than steel.
Well, the Targaryens are hoarding their dragon bones. Oh, sorry.
Maybe it's too hard and brittle to forge things out of. You know, by the way, reptiles, they consume a lot of calcium because they consume and digest bones. So the bones make their bones stronger.
And
what
They
it
do
is.
specifically learn that the dragon bones, it's because of high iron content.
So I have another thing. The iron content. Yep, that's what it said. Sorry, I heard
I
it.
think it wouldn't be too highly sought if was it Ricaro that rode through the bones of a dragon when he was riding through the red waste, and you would think if it was like something that people wanted so badly, they would risk it. They would be like, somebody would have scouted, right? Or maybe not.
And I'm like, it's described. I don't know. It seems pretty good to use, but what do I know? I'm just a young
What do
girl
I know?
out here pussy popping.
We see a
Okay.
few dragon.
Why aren't
dragon
13
bone
harvesting
veins.
that corpse?
Why
It's close enough to Karth to like get there.
Reduce, reuse, recycle, bitches. Okay, here's something
Even
that
dragon couldn't get into Karth.
So you know that humans, we are the only animals that cook our food. I know people are going to say, "Oh, primates in captivity will eat cooked food." Yeah, in captivity. But I mean, like, what makes us human is that we cook our food. And what some scientists say is that, like, going from like Neanderthal to Homo sapien, all that stuff, like that, the big leap, which is what made our brains double in size, was the fact that we cooked our food, and that cooking your meat, basically it gelatinizes starch, it denatures protein, and it just softens everything, making it like easier for you to digest, which gives your brain a lot of time, I guess, to double in size and to like think about things. And that's what makes us human. So like fire is the connection to us being human. And dragons cook their food, and no other animal does that. So like, what do you guys think about that? I think that this fact is part of what kind of makes like the dragon bond. Like, it basically, the dragon bond to me means that dragons are part human, the same way Daenerys and all these other women are giving birth to dragons. Like, humans are part dragon, dragons are part human too, in a way, not physically but mentally and magically. So what do you guys think about that? Dragons cooking their food, which is not an animal thing to do.
Well, it could be part of like the word connection in the bond, the building of the bond. Like you're searing their food for them, you're taking care of them until they can do it themselves. Maybe even like I don't know. Some people have other people cook their meat though. So
yeah,
that's interesting. It would very much go with the examination of like upper like class dynamics and like having servants, which is like so baked into the thing, including baked into all the discussion about Valyria and it being like this slave empire.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that it's like a caretaking people who cook for you, and that's like care for you, and I think it's all got a very kind of like hippie-y, we are all one thing vibe of like in kind of looking at my idea of like dragons are like the fires of hell, the fires in the earth embodied, and it all being like blood sacrifice, volcano magic, the classic like throw sacrifices into the volcano, feed the fires in the earth. The most like I feel like I'm explaining this poorly, but it has the man and dragon and tree and earth are all one thing in the sort of like the tree.
Is it like
the acorn?
Is it like you have to the dragon is accepting your sacrifice, whatever it is, but it has to burn it to consume it, like paying the price for it?
Yeah, the burning is the consuming, and like in a dragon eats its game burnt just the way as like a volcano does when you're,
and it's fire made flesh. It's like manifesting its nature, like the dragon.
Right. It's like dragons are the babies of this fire. There's like the adolescent
little hellfire dragon babies.
Yeah, and also like the book goes on and on about how smart dragons are, and we think that, oh, it's because it's magic that they're smart. But what if they're smart for the same reason that we're smart? Like they're burning their food, which means their brains are probably doubled in size. What do you think about that, Kirsten Chill?
That's what I was going to say. It goes into what I was talking about earlier, which is an evolved amygdala. Maybe the cooking their food gave them the evolved amygdala that makes them have this psychic bond with people.
Hold on, chat. You guys heard that? Y'all heard that here first. The dragons have an amygdala, confirmed, because they burn their food.
That's the intersection of magic and science that is so cool about George R.R. Martin. To me, that is exactly one of the things that he's known for.
Yeah, because I mean, you always take it as a given that like, oh, the dragon breathes fire, so it burns everything. But like when you actually think about it, it's like, wait, because like what would happen to like Vhagar, like if you cook something and gave it to her? Like, would she just not even eat it?
Isn't that exactly
probably not?
She'd be like bougie bitch.
Huh? Right, probably not. All the reptiles eat non-cooked food. Obviously, all animals do, but they consume it whole too.
Yeah.
So they consume things and can digest things that we can't. So you combine that with cooking your food and the brain growing, so they can do things that we can't even do. So maybe that goes to prove it even more.
And I would say the biggest brain in the Song of Ice and Fire universe is the Werewood Hive, which also eats game. And I think even like cooked, there's like they say like the sacrificial bodies in the Werewood Mouth and White Tree are like burned in there, right? Like it was an oven.
That it's hot to the touch.
Was it hot to the touch? I think I remember there was like scorch marks inside the Werewood Mouth when John's looking at like the big and little skulls.
I don't know. I can't say. I don't remember.
But I don't remember either. But that's really interesting.
Your point. If we
everything is the Werewood net. The Werewood net is under everything. It's strong magic.
And when Bran's down there, they're crunching on skulls, human skulls, skulls of other things.
I mean, the Werewood net is kind of identical to the dragons as far as like the metaphor for all consuming. Like think about how many wars we have. Like they definitely have a market for blood sacrifice, and we'll never stop warring. That's I think that's a message that pacifist George is trying to say. Like, what's wrong with human nature that we never fucking stop? When we have no reason to war, we're like, woman, start a war. Like,
and it's like this desire to control each other, which we see like in the Bran mind-jacking people, in the others controlling corpses, and in the Valyrians taking slaves. Like, all three of those are, three-sided coins, like those exist. They're all three sides of the same coin.
Okay. So I want to talk about the Dragon Bond. What do you guys think about the Dragon Bond? Like, what is... how do you think it works? Like, how deep does it go? Is it like Bran warging an animal and like making the right hand go up, left hand go up, like controlling it? Or do you guys think it's like what is it?
Well, in the books, I always took it as a psychic bond. And in House of the Dragon, the show, they do have, when she's giving birth, they do have that scene where it really flashes between Cyrax screaming and her screaming. So that really leads you to believe that, and because if George R.R. Martin is behind the writing of House of the Dragon, right? That really leads you to believe that it's like this really psychic bond. But then in the end, Vhagar ends up eating Luke, and I forget his dragon's name. Oh my God.
RX?
Yes, exactly. So Vhagar ends up eating them and not obeying his command. So that kind of makes me think there's a big point of, well, these are just animals, after all, that are beholden to instincts. So I'm not sure. In the books, if I was going by the books, it would be a psychic bond, like something more magical than scientific.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they choosing Ulf and freaking what's his name?
Ulf the White and Hugh the Hammer.
God, these fucking guys.
It's a good point.
Maybe they're misunderstood.
No, they are not. They're dicks.
Okay, you're right.
They're kind of dicks.
They're full dicks. Bag of dicks.
I definitely think it's a psychic bond. I think it is unlike with other creatures, because we see it's possible to like fight for psychic dominance in like the Varamir prologue. Like he tries to take over Thistle, and Thistle resists him. I think dragons are very strong in that kind of like psychic fight, and so they will reject a weak rider who can't handle having that psychic bond. And for the most part, like Viserys says, the belief that humans control the dragons is an illusion. It's the dragons working on like their own motivations, their own decision making, and like it's kind of just a pretense that they obey like their dragon lords. And in reality, if a dragon doesn't want to do what the rider says, you're just gonna get big Vagar
Eat you.
Yeah. I think the dragon bond ties into like that quote I read earlier from George that who you are matters. Like the dragon bond is important because Dreamfyre is Rhaena's dragon, and I feel like Rhaena is a child of destiny. So like that dragon bond makes Dreamfyre a dragon of destiny, which is why I think she's the one that is the mother of Daenerys's eggs. So I think it's that powerful, like something that's like multidimensional that we can't understand, where it's like you're two people at the same time, like being a Gemini, like multiple personality disorder. But yeah, so let's talk about sex.
Yeah.
What do you guys think makes a dragon reproduce? Like, do you think it's magic or science? And keeping in mind, slutty Dreamfyre. And so like, also, I'm going to ask a whole bunch of questions so you guys can talk at length. So magic or science? And then if dragons are so human-like, like we're talking about the dragon bond, we're talking about them cooking their meat. Cooking their meat, it sounds sexual. So if dragons are so human-like, would they choose not to have children now as humans are? Like now that humans are being given a choice, now that we're not carrying on our family legacy and our family name and coat of arms, now we're choosing, I don't want 11 kids. I want 2, or I want 0. Or like, so
Great.
like would dragons be the same way? Boom, go. Whoever feels like talking.
Well, I definitely have some things to say on this subject. For one, reptiles have 2 penises. I didn't know if anybody else knew that.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that, but I can work that into my existing tinfoil.
There you go. 2 penises. Also, about the eggs being different colors and morphism. So reptiles are not polymorphic. Polymorphic, what that means is, for example, if 2 people look different, one has black hair, one has blonde hair, and they have a baby, that kid could have brown hair, right? It's a blend of both.
Recessive. Like recessive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So reptiles are more recessive traits, especially if they're doing the incest thing. And so you could have one that comes out purple, one that comes out black, and one that comes out white. And we do often have that when we breed the snakes. So there's that about the eggs being fathered by different dragons.
Hold on. Do you know what hemipenes are?
Yes.
Okay. Is that just our octopus with no friends just wrote that. So I wanted to in case that has to do with what you're saying. Because I don't know what that is.
Those are the 2 penises.
That's the name for
They're
it?
called hemipenes.
Hemipenes. Okay.
Yes. So about the different dragons fathering one clutch, really, I think it's just from one dragon. And I think it's from Balerion, because Balerion and Dreamfyre would make the most destiny-filled dragons. But the different colors are going to come from their recessive traits. So there's that. Also,
so just going back to the hemipene.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you mean all reptiles have 2 penises? What about the girl reptiles?
Oh, all male reptiles, excuse me.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was going to say,
now,
are all of them androgynous or not androgynous? Hermaphrodites. That's what I was going to ask, but no, never mind. All males have 2 penises.
All males. However, your theory about changing the sex, that does happen in frogs and fish. So, and frogs are amphibians, which are a little bit like reptiles. So, you know, what's that?
I said close enough.
Close enough, right? So that could have happened as well because they're dragons, and who knows what we know about these dragons? They're mythological creatures, right? So if they want to change their sex, then they can, maybe, because it does happen in nature. There is a precedent for this. But in terms of what makes dragons mate, it is environmental factors. So we breed reptiles here. One of the things we do is we spray them because the environmental factor during their mating season is rain. The rain will let them know it's time to breed. It's also hotter, so we increase their temperature. When it's hotter, it's time to breed. So it's a lot of environmental factors, and especially if these dragons are smart, intelligent, like semi-sentient beings, they're going to know about other environmental factors, not just rain and heat, but also what's going on in the world, just like we do, right? And I think humans are the same. We have kids based on environmental factors. Is there a lot of food going around? Then, you know, we're not going to have a lot of kids if there's not. Is it a hostile world with lots of crazy like shootings everywhere? Yes, it is. So maybe
Are kindergarten safe?
Right. Do I have the money for 11 kids? No. So maybe just one or two. You know, I think it's environmental, basically.
Yes.
I think it definitely. Hi, buddy.
Sorry.
He's good. He's doing dog stuff.
Piggins is losing his mind.
I definitely think there's got to be like outside factors because it's magic. Everyone says,
I'm so sorry. Terrible.
Are you Jingle Bell? Are you Mushroom? What is this?
Oh my God. That's awesome.
She's on mute.
Brilliant.
All right. Sorry, tinfoil.
yeah, I was just gonna say, Marwin says the thing about like all Valyrian magic is either blood for fire or fire for blood.
Okay.
So I just assume that dragon hatching and dragon, well, we know dragon hatching, but I assume also like dragon egg laying probably has some blood magic component. Like 2 years before our like possible timeline for a Dreamfyre Quicksilver conception, there's a Targaryen daughter that's lost. I feel like there may be something like that, but that is pure hunch based on just pattern recognition with how George does. Dragons always require blood sacrifice.
There's always a price. That stupid bitch Miriam Azdor said so. I fucking hate her, but she learned from Marwyn. That's the only reason I'm giving her any clout, because she learned from Marwyn, and Marwyn knows her thing or two. Rainier, did you say what you wanted? What you think the reason that dragons reproduce? I heard Baggins' take, but
Dragons be feral. So, no, I've just been, man, I don't know. I tried to get into some of this, and then I just started tinfoiling hard, like fucking hard.
It happens to the best of us.
Oh no,
Sunshine and Dog says, I think they do as they please, and I think that just might be it. Once you create something like the dragons, kind of like the White Walkers, bitch, you don't have control over that anymore. They're gonna do as they please because you created a Frankenstein or like a monster. So
Love you, old new dude.
Gotta go. Bye old new dude. But yeah. So I vote that it's magical propaganda, that like, because dragons aren't natural to the world, like that they're made. I'm just gonna go with that just to expound. That they don't
Go.
No, go ahead.
I just have two things to say about two comments. For one, Octopus with No Friends brought up parthenogenesis. That's something that I forgot to bring up. Reptiles can actually lay eggs without ever having a mate. They
Mm.
get to like immaculate conception, basically. This is a sign they can replicate their DNA.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the things I looked up, and I was thinking about that. I'm like, what if Dreamfyre is just special on her own, and she like produces these eggs? But then I was like, no, because that's no fun. Okay, we want the sex. And like, I feel like George R. R. Martin loves duality, like ice and fire, men and women. Like, I feel like the eunuchs. He's trying to paint this picture that like masculine energy by itself is not good enough. Feminine energy by itself is not good enough. But when you combine them, when you have the exact perfect ratio amount, that's when you could do the things. Like I feel like so that's like the duality. And then you have like, what about Silverwing and Vermithor, who like showed that like the dragons do as they please, like Sunshine and Dog said, like that, like, bitch, we are gonna be lovers even after our humans die. We're still together, even though Hugh the Hammer and Ulf the White are not romantically involved, or are they?
I
They're
wonder if
going
it's
to be
like,
together.
I
Like-
wonder if it's representative of how they feel. Like they're like feeling like bottom of the barrel. Their people are dead. They're like, we're so depressed. We're like this. We feel like shit about ourselves. So let's go find like the worst two.
Or it could be that they were kind of taken against their will. Not taken against their will, but just like it's not a comment on the dragons, but it's a comment on how strong
Right.
Ulf and Hugh are, that they were able to take them. And maybe they took one, and Vermithor was like, "Oh damn, they took my baby." I'm gonna go and let myself be claimed so that at least we could.
I guess.
Together. I don't know.
Fine. Yeah. No. Totally.
But other dragons, like for example, Vhagar and Meleys, they were written by Alyssa and Balon, which were Viserys and Big Daddy Daemon's parents. Those dragons never coiled up together. Like, so I'm basically making the argument that just because the humans are together doesn't mean that creates a conflict between the dragons. Actually, remember, Meleys is killed by Vhagar. So it's like, Vhagar really don't give a fuck, like, first of all. But like, so it shows that Silverwing and Vermithor, their bond is something special. And it seems like it's something that's a choice that the dragons make.
I would not be surprised if like the personalities of like Jaehaerys and Alysanne just like live on kind of in them, and the Warg second life.
Both of them were bonded since eggs, and they were their first riders. So it's like your first personality, I guess.
And it was Rhaena who put those eggs in their cradles, right? Yeah. Keeping back with our Rhaena is a mother of dragon destiny.
Yes, very, very important. So that's why I think that it's sexual reproduction, not asexual. It can be a sex switch to happen, but you still need like the two energies to pay the price of creating a dragon. What do you guys think?
I think so. I'm totally with you on the dual energies thing and the importance of like sex as a core magic motif.
Bitch Rhaenyra? What do you guys?
Maybe. Well, I'm thinking maybe the eggs that aren't hatched just came from clutches that weren't anywhere near the other energy they needed or whatever component. But I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to think they can do it all on their own.
Maybe sometimes they do, and other times, like, it depends on circumstance, and dragons will do as they please and can and do both.
Right.
But if they do it on their own, why? Is it just the dragon like hubris, like, I want to replicate my DNA, and you just have the egg? Because like for us, destiny
or necessity. There's
the
if we go on show suggestions, Drogon will be alone at the end.
I guess. For me, I just want to be sexist for a second and also put forth that I believe that you only need one female because women are better, females are better, but you need 3 men. Like 3 men equal 1 female. So like Dreamfyre is like the ultimate, and the reason for that is because George R. R. Martin knows the truth. He's a feminist. He knows that women are better. Okay, so he's trying to show that like you only need like one. Like, well, also like we keep seeing these themes that like these Targaryen women are overlooked, but they're just as capable or even more capable than their men male counterparts. And he keeps trying to say that, like, y'all keep saying, Aegon the dragon, I'm the dragon. But the reason you guys have dragons is because you always need a fertile woman around for these dragons to even have eggs. So I think, like, with that theme, that's why it's like Dreamfyre is, we only need one female, but we need 3 males. Yeah. So which came first, the dragon or the egg? So I kind of want to go through this awesome, hold on, I guess I need to share this kind of list of all the known eggs and dragons. It's not that long, but kind of just go through and you guys can like kind of shout stuff out as they come along, and just like kind of talk about them. Because like I said, even though I believe in my theory, I'm not going to be so stubborn as to think that that I'm right. I don't want to overlook things because of my hubris. So this is the wiki. I have books, I read books, I promise, but the wiki is just so much easier to get everything all in one instead of having to skip hundreds and millions of pages. So which came first, the dragon or the egg? I want to talk about the egg because this is a lot of fucking dragons. And I want to talk about the egg first, because then we could narrow down like what we think, right? So obviously the first written here are the 3 eggs that Alyssa took. They're not described what they look like at all. Then there is an egg that is given to pregnant Massaria in the books. No color description. Then I'm skipping these because I'm skipping the ones that turned into dragons, because they show like Vermax as an egg. It's like, bitch, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for eggs, like missing eggs that could possibly be Daenerys's eggs. But remember Viserys too, he had an egg before he went missing on that ship switcheroo. And then Rhaena has 2 unaccounted for eggs that did not hatch at the Vale. And then she has Morning. And then she has one that hatched, which that one doesn't count. Maelor has an egg. That one is pale green with swirls of silver. Is anything popping out at you guys? Anything that's, sorry if I'm going too fast. But
the Elena Targaryen egg is kind of Viserion-esque.
The Elena, that's the one I was talking about before. You know, that might have gotten to Bravos. Let's see, Aegon 2's egg, and then Laena Velaryon has an egg. Arion, gold and silver with veins of fiery colors, white and green swirls. And then the ones that these 3, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion.
Why do you suppose Aegon couldn't hatch his egg at Summerhall? Sorry, random side note.
No, thank you. I like that.
Why?
I think it's because Rhaegar lived. I think
You're saying they were missing the ingredient of infant sacrifice.
Yeah, like
yeah,
they sacrificed Rhaego in Dany's pyre, and I feel like Rhaego is like the Rhaegar equivalent. Alternatively, it's about intention, because again, Aegon was doing it to like reestablish power, which could be seen as like a less pure motivation than Dany's. But I definitely think the best comparisons are done like making it like to the pyre, and I think Rhaegar living is the thing that's most different.
Kern Rhaegar. I wonder if he knew that. That's why he was so sad all the time, so bummed out.
I also saw a decent theory of maybe they did hatch a dragon, but they fucked it up, and the dragon died immediately, and it's like this like tragic like doom.
We were this close, didn't we?
I think it's because he's not Daenerys. Daenerys is the chosen one. So
he's pretty Dany coded though, because he shows up bald the way like she is, having just hatched the eggs, and like
and a
The
champion for the
bald
small
egg
folk.
tie together.
I mean that too.
He's a champion for the small folk like Danny is. Yeah. There's a lot of coding, but I'm just like, just not a woman. You're just not a woman.
Fair.
Let me go in the
Other
comments.
dragons.
Yes, someone said, I wonder if Viserys' egg is the one that Euron used to have.
Viserys too.
Fit
Oh yeah, the one that got
Absolutely.
lost in the switcheroo.
Now that's interesting.
Pod says chickens can lay eggs without sex, which makes sense because they evolved from dinosaurs. Yeah, that reptile connection. But those eggs aren't those eggs like benign? The ones that aren't germinated by the rooster?
I see smoke.
See smoke. Love the doggos. Hi, Edward Martin. He says femininity, women are better because he knows the truth. Okay.
James Martin.
Story is how women are done wrong, all the way from Amethyst to Danny, which is a good little parallel. Pod says if they were magically and genetically engineered, probably the dragons came first and started laying the eggs. I think so. I agree with that. I really hope there was a clutch left at Winterfell. Edward Martin says, yeah, I think we all do. Carl Karsnark is here. Hello. He says, sluttily smash the like and subscribe buttons. Please do that. And Edward Martin says, Danny is the keeper of balance, center mass of the scale. Yeah. I agree with all that. So going back to the eggs, like I don't think that there was any other eggs that kind of stood out that could have been the eggs other than the unnamed ones. Like that's why my mind went to like, well, I think Danny's eggs came from unions that we don't know about. Like they're not in the wiki because no one talked about them, but we know that there were eggs around. We see in the show that Daemon goes and collects that clutch. Where is that in the wiki? Where is that in Fire and Blood? So there were eggs around that people just didn't talk about for whatever reason. So
which makes it, if you're going to, sorry.
No, that's it.
To say if you're going to tie together like show and book references, where you could say it makes sense, would also say it makes sense on how they could originate from a shy if they need that sulfuric environment to thrive originally. And they're sticking them in the bowels of the dragon mount, you know?
Yeah, just seeing what happens. Carl Karsnark says benign means that they don't cause cancer. LOL. Infertile egg is what you're looking for. Yeah. I'm smart. I promise. No, just kidding. Yeah, that's definitely what I meant. So we talked about the eggs. Okay, are there any other dragons that you guys just think are special enough to be the father or mother of Daenerys's eggs?
I have not seen part 2 of the Dreamfyre Slut series, so I have not seen your discussion about Rhaegal.
It was Vhagar. Vhagar changes sex because of destiny and prophecy at a specific time to father father Rhaegal, and then I made Rhaegar comparisons, how he switched his destiny. He picked up a sword instead of reading books. The same way, like changed his nature to fit destiny. And then the symbolism of Vhagar starting the conquest of Westeros, like the big 3 with Aegon the Conqueror, and then ending with the Dance of the Dragon, how that's like this, the dragon eating its tail, like symbolism with, basically tying all that. So kind of speaking to what Rhaegal represents Rhaegar, a child of destiny, which represents Vhagar, but also speaks to Rhaegal's how he'll end.
Fuck, that's better than what I had. I was thinking Vermithor because of like
I know Vermithor. A lot of people, I think 1 or 2 people commented it has to be Vermithor.
And the thing is, like, the problem is Vermithor is not Rhaegar coded. Vermithor is Robert coded. Like Hugh the Hammer's.
Also Jaehaerys coded. Jaehaerys gets his own like specialness too.
True. And Jaehaerys. I don't feel like Jaehaerys is very Rhaegar.
No, not very Rhaegar, but just his own thing where it's like he's special enough to have a place in history type of
Well,
thing.
I was saying as a rebuttal to, as reinforcement to Vermithor doesn't really work for Rhaegal. There's a timeline opportunity during Jaehaerys's like first progress before Rhaena flies to Fair Isle. Is there an opportunity when Dreamfyre...
Wait, you're saying Dreamfyre and Vermithor don't have an opportunity?
Dreamfyre and Vermithor do have an opportunity. Do Vhagar and Dreamfyre have an opportunity? I haven't seen.
Yes, especially if you prescribe to Helena and Aemon being in love.
Right. Yeah. After Rhaena, Dreamfyre is just with Helena.
Huh?
And I also do subscribe to that. I know there's a very basic Aemon is too young problem, except in the show, and it works like so neatly for so many things. I can't dismiss it.
Yeah, Vermithor is one of those ones that I was like, you know when you record a video, like my video was like 3 hours long, and I was able, so I cut a lot out to get it to like 20 minutes, and half of it is me saying Vermithor is the father. So it was like, yeah, but then I just chose Vhagar because of like Vhagar starting the conquest, like the symbolism of the dragon eating its tail, starting the conquest, basically saying dragons are here, bitches. Like it's the big three, and then like ending it because that fight with Vhagar and Caraxes ends the Dance of the Dragons. Yeah. Once Daemon takes out Aemon, we're done. You're done. Like, so like that's why I did the edge. And then I was like, well, I don't like the idea of Vermithor cheating on Silverwing. Like, no, bitch. Dreamfyre is a slut, but she couldn't seduce Vermithor. Okay. Just like Melisandre could not seduce Jon when Jon's like, no, bitch. I still love Ygritte.
And it works with Vermithor being Robert coded too, because he never forgets
unrequited love. Well, okay. Yeah, he still holds a candle.
Yeah, it's an AU where Robert and Lyanna are together, and he's like a good husband, I guess. Yeah, no, I really like the dragon eating its tail thing, which also goes with the Rhaegal and Jon coding of the House Tolan sigil, which is a green dragon eating itself, and before it was a green dragon, it was a ghost. So if we assume Jon will ride Rhaegal, it's all about Jon's familiars. First Ghost and then Green Dragon.
And that house, they're in Dorne.
Right.
Home of the Tower of Joy.
That, but also House Dane, if people who think Jon is the Sword of the Morning.
Right.
That might...
Like it brings the Jon. Sure. Continue.
So imagine Jon gets the White Wolf, he gets Rhaegal the dragon, and he gets the sword Dane. Well, damn, bitch. The Song of Jon gets everything. What do you think, Westeros and Chilla? Any other special dragons? I mean, I know you said before Balerion, which I guess is the same symbolism I'm saying of like starting. Like, come on, it's Big Daddy Balerion. Everyone won't shut up about him. It's been 150 years. They still talk about him. Like,
I say that because of Drogon, because Drogon is so clearly Balerion's kin. But Vermithor is another good option. But I still think it's Balerion.
You mean like Balerion fathered all 3 eggs?
Yes.
Or Vermithor fathered all 3 eggs?
Right.
What does the audience think? Do you guys have any dragons that you're like, they're special, or they have these connections, or like, I don't know. Carl Carson says Westeros and Chill is giving us major Grecian snack princess vibes. Yes. The real Medusa. The real Medusa. Dragon threesome confirmed, Phil H says. Yeah. For me, it's gotta be the threesomes. Dreamfyre getting a train ran on her.
Dragon must have 3 heads.
the dragon must have 3 heads, and that's another thing. I thought it, but I didn't write it down in my notes. Thank you, tinfoil. Like the dragon must have 3 eggs. That's why the Daenerys of the dragons have to have 3 fathers. Because another thing is the Sphinx is the riddle. And for me, the Sphinx is the riddle means that like it's not just one person. It's not just Azor Ahai. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like a Sphinx has head of a woman or wings of a snake, body of a lion, whatever the mashup is. But you need all these little things for you to be able to defeat the big bad. The last hero didn't go out to defeat the others on his own. He had 12 people with him. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. That's why I think it's like Daenerys' dragons are so important to the end game. And like it just kind of fits in that they're like a little bit of Balerion, which is like we're giving you that alpha male energy that like I'm the big bad. Everyone's scared of me. I don't even have to talk. But that's not enough to like that's too much masculine energy. It's not enough. But then you have like Rhaegar energy, which I think comes from Vhagar, which is kind of like that Sigma male energy that's like, I could be an alpha if I wanted to, but I'm a Sigma, which means that like, I'm going to go play the harp. I'm going to be a musician. Like, I'm going to use my powers. I'm going to forge my own destiny. I'm not going to listen.
Go join the Watch.
I'm going to join the Watch.
Sigma John.
You know, but I still got the power. Don't forget. And then you need the beta energy, which is like Viserion, or like Quicksilver energy, which is like, I come from weak stock, but I could still help. Like I'm the supporting man, the supporting help to it. So it's like, it's all these 3 energies that are in the dragon that's going to make them perfect for the end game.
Well, it's kind of like what Lady Bissell talks about with the Chimeron theory, like the Tyrion having different fathers.
Huge believer,
fellow believer. Good to see you.
Yeah. Yes. Because dragons don't have to give birth the same way we do. Like, who knows like how much dragon cum is inside that belly. Like
Karsnark, he says, I just want them to live at the end of it all. That's asking a lot. I mean, I think we'll get 1 and maybe an ice dragon if we're lucky. I hate the idea of all the dragons dying at the end of the book. I'll take 1 dragon and Podrick Payne. I want Podrick Payne to live. So,
I think Podrick's unkillable.
Yeah. I'd love for him to survive this.
Another thing is like when they say when winter comes, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. It's like kind of fitting in again. Like it's not just one. It's not the tree. I had that in my notes. I did not even know that it was on your wall. That's so funny.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that fits in there. It's like, we need this energy from like all types of dragon stocks. Especially like, do you guys think like in Valyria, like in my headcanon in Valyria, there was like lots of different types of dragons. Like the ones with the horns, like Vermithor, were like the war dragons. They were bred to breathe the hottest fire. But then there were dragons just for flight. So they were smaller, lighter, or had long necks like Caraxes. There was like dragons for the water, dragons for like any purpose in the Valyrian life. Kind of like
this exact headcanon.
Huh?
I've had this exact headcanon.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
They were purpose bred, and like Valyrians got like super like cush with, we'll just invent a new type of dragon to fill whatever.
Absolutely. Look what they're doing with humans right there in Meereen. When we're in a Tyrion chapter, I think it is, and he's looking around and they're like talking about how we breed these ones super tall and maybe one day they won't need stilts. Like if they're doing that with people, they were definitely doing it with dragons.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Agreed.
So with that, it's like, I feel like that's manifested in Daenerys' dragons. Like we shouldn't always be comparing them to Drogon. Like Drogon's the biggest one. How come they're not like Drogon? It's like, no, Viserion and Rhaegal have their own purpose. Like they're not supposed to be a Drogon.
I tend to think of things very in like hive terms because George loves a hive mind. See Sand Kings, Songs for Leah, Men of Greywater Station. I think the gender ratios we see in like women to men are very reflective of a queen and drone dynamic. So it again gets to like this purpose assigned birth. you are born into the role of warrior or transport, and it's like determined by your look, and the whole revolutionary idea is breaking out of those like rigid lines, which also is like allegorical to like gender and like class station, and it's, you know, metaphors for human society.
Yeah. I think it's funny because like in the Bible, there's a quote that says the first will be last and the last will be first. So it's like the women that you overlooked, yeah, in the end, they're the ones, the last is who's going to be first. That's pretty much all I have as far as like picking apart my theory, breaking down like the eggs, dragon nature, what they come from. If there were better dragons, I feel like I'm the best and that my theory stands out. I hope I've convinced some of you people at home that might have doubted. So I'm kind of going to open up the floor as we wrap up to you guys to give like your last couple thoughts, anything you wanted to get off your chest, theories you wanted to get out there that we didn't mention. I am going to go into the chat, but I do have some questions for you guys. So do you guys think that Jon has an egg? Yeah. Like, okay, so Daenerys has 3 eggs. She hatched them. She's special. But do you think that we'll see this happen again?
I mean, if he would have to be a Targaryen to have an egg for it to matter, right?
Well, I guess my question is, does Jon have an egg like assigned to him by destiny, and will that egg hatch and have some bearing on the story?
I think his egg is Rhaegal. I think his
no other
partner.
No rogue eggs like we have Dany's 3 eggs and that's it.
I don't think we're gonna see another dragon hatch. There may turn out to be, oh yeah, there were more dragons around you didn't know about, like Hannibal's still alive or something, or Sheepstealer was like
right
in Winterfell. But I don't think we'll see another dragon hatching on screen.
I agree.
We got what we got.
Yeah. I mean, he described Daenerys hatching her dragons as a once-in-a-lifetime magical event. So if it was a once-in-a-lifetime magical event, I don't see him doing it over again and taking the gravity away from it.
Unless the ice dragon theory in the wall, when the wall comes down.
That's kind of hatching.
That's what I was just about to go into.
Yeah.
The show Game of Thrones kind of threw us all for a wrench because before the last season, in the fandom, we all thought that there would be other dragons in supplement to Daenerys' 3 dragons. Like, for example, the ice dragon would come from the wall or from the lands beyond. We thought that, hey, are we gonna see a dragon in Winterfell? Like, not eggs, but fully formed dragons, like more than 3. But the show showed us that, like, no, we're just gonna take one of Dany's dragons and turn that into the ice dragon, which kind of, like I said, there was for a loop because I don't think anyone. Maybe people predicted that, but
that was exactly my prediction. As soon as ice dragons showed up in Dance with Dragons, I'm like, yeah, this is a whited dragon. Which of Dany's dragons will get whited? The white one. It was entirely on the basis of color coding and also that he was eating plague corpses. But like, I had a hunch. A dragon will get whited, and it's Viserion because he's white.
So what do you guys think for the book Endgame? Do you think that, like a leading question, do you think we're going to be seeing other dragons, or do you think it's going to be similar to the show where it's just too good not to repeat with one of Daenerys' dragons being whited dragon?
Something from the show being too good not to repeat. That I say
King Bran.
Right.
King Bran is too good not to repeat. Jaime and Cersei dying in each other's arms, too good not to repeat. Anyways, we're not
selling it for me. I want her dead by someone else's hands. I want it to be Loras. I want Loras to choke the life from her.
I think, like, you know, with the shows, and I forgot to say, this was a spoiler stream.
You were supposed to say that.
Now that we're 2 hours in, spoilers, all books and shows.
If you're 2 hours in, it's too late for you anyways. You may as well.
Also, don't watch my channel if you don't read books. But what was I saying?
No King Bran, Jackie says. She gets it.
Yeah, what do you guys think? And then just going into like your final thoughts. I'm gonna let you guys wrap up stuff in your head. Let me go to the chat and see what people have been saying.
Dolores, that one's not a theory I came up with. That came from my book club friends. They're geniuses. And I just really love it. Love that journey for Loris. So
I feel like Loris just wants to die in glory, whether it's against the mountain or the Dragonmont. He just wants to have a glorious death.
take out Cersei before you go.
Okay, so we have Edward Martin saying Gorgon Gang. That's Carl Carson. I believe it's more magical than physical, like a spirit. Dragon is Black Dread. Drogon is the Black Dread reborn. Yeah. Jesus had 12 people with him too. Coincidence? I do not think it's a coincidence. George R. R. Martin has 2 middle names. That's a Catholic boy. And you could be an atheist, but Catholic does not leave you. The guilt that they put you through, like, you will, sorry, like, that shit, it seeps in there, and you're typing the number 12 before you even know where you got it from. So, yeah, and Jesus had 12 disciples. Tyrion Targaryen is a hill I will die on. I am on that hill with you, Phil H. Thank you.
I agree, too.
Carl Karsnak says Greek sphinxes are usually the head of a woman, body of a lion, wings of an eagle. But Egyptian sphinxes are usually just a human head on a lion body. Thank you for that. Edward Martin says big belly full of cum. Yes.
Yeah.
It goes with all my tinfoil. Everything goes with my tinfoil. Everything goes with the planet being pregnant. I promise, because I'm just right.
Carl Karsnak says breeds of dragons like breeds of horses, draft horses, plow horses, racing horses, all that. If you crossbreed a dragon with a corgi, it will look like a corgi-shaped dragon. My favorite crossbreed is from Shrek. I like the donkey dragon crossbreed over the corgi. Edward Martin says he's going to catch the replay. He missed the beginning. Yay! Sunshine and Dog says there was a dragon that spent time in the north. That dragon could have left an egg or eggs. We also don't know if all Dany's dragons were male. Maybe one of her dragon was a female and left an egg. Cool. I think the dragon you're talking about that was north is Good Queen Alysanne. She spent the most time up north. Jaehaerys did go up there.
Yeah, but
and Jace did too.
Jace went up there, but yeah, but Alysanne went to the wall. I don't think Jace went to the wall. So yeah, and then Dany's dragons being male or female, like yeah, Drogon is probably a big bitch.
They're gonna clever girl this thing. I swear to God.
Drogon is a boss, is a CEO boss babe.
What's yours?
Well, I have something in that regard. When you want the eggs to be female, you increase the temperature. So the hotter it is, the more likely all the eggs are going to be female. And that's actually causing problems with sea turtles right now because they're all ending up to be male. Because the temperature, or no, sorry, they're all ending up to be female because the temperature is increasing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Daenerys increased the temperature with the funeral power, so she probably made all female eggs.
Right.
All female dragons.
And with parthenogenesis, there could be more dragons. If they survive, that is.
So they can all be egg-laying dragons everywhere they go.
Right.
I'm so upset with the sound you've chosen for dragon birth.
No, dragon.
What are the factors in clutch count? So Phil H, what are the factors in clutch count? Caloric intake. We feed them more, they lay more eggs.
Carl Karsnark says, I agree we won't see another major hatching, but the Targs were hatching eggs for ages without it being a big woohoo event. So there at least used to be a method they used, it seems. So that's the thing. Like, yes, the Valyrians and the Targaryens, I don't think they needed a funeral pyre to hatch a dragon, right? That's because magic was still in the world. Whatever. The other thing is, like, with the Dance of the Dragons, we know it's a political event, but I also think it was a magical event too. That's why maybe the Volcron passed again, that was influencing people's decisions or something, because the Dance of the Dragons does not explain why no other dragons hatched, no other eggs hatched, why they were sickly. Like, yeah, when the dance happened, there were eggs, there were Targaryens, there were fertile female Targaryens. why did nothing else happen? The only answer I could see is that magic died, like it was a curse or a poison or something like that. So I think that's why they have to start all over again, and that's why Daenerys had to do it the hard way. But now that she's done it the hard way, I think her 3 female dragons could now just lay eggs without consequence, and that they'll just hatch. What do you guys think? But good, Carl. That's got us thinking. What do you guys think about that?
In the comments, Jackie C said poisoned eggs. There is that theory that the maesters were poisoning the eggs to make them not hatch.
I'm definitely pretty sold on maesters poisoning eggs.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's
great rats.
also something to be said for the fact that Alice Rivers at the end of the dance says she has a dragon, and Alice Rivers seems to not be fucking around with magic because she kills the messenger remotely.
So you guys are saying that every time eggs were trying to be hatched, the maesters fucked with it. Like the maesters fucked with Summerhall. The maesters fucked with even
Yeah, there was a maester. It was Maester. It was Gildane, and then it was changed to Maester Corso.
And even like the smaller tries, like going back with like Aegon III's generation when they were just trying, but like the maesters were fucking with it back then. I could get hip to that. It could be magic or maesters. And Daenerys does not have a maester, which like a noble highborn person should.
And you know who she did have was a Marwyn trained Miri. And like Marwyn seems to be the anti-maester person with maester knowledge. So
the absence of the maester, yeah. And that even goes to the Ironborn, because it's like Ironborns they fucking killed it. They didn't want no maesters. And I wonder if like having a maester is like a metaphorical blocking of the magic. So Ironborn can't access Krakens because they have maesters now. But if you get rid of that maester, maybe, I don't know.
I have random tinfoil that is way too out of the realm.
Go ahead, just make it quick. Go.
No, it has to do with Dio and the song "Holy Diver" and the album, cover art, and my assertion that the design for Maesters and Maesters Chains comes from the cover art for Dio's "Holy Diver."
Is that a band?
Being Aemon's losing the king moot is just depicted as demon throwing holy man into the water.
Dio is the artist. Yes, it is a band, and that's the album cover of his Holy Diver's his hit song. So
yes,
I totally get what you meant.
It's also
and I love
Holy Diver.
Yeah.
It also has the song Rainbow in the Dark. I have so much George is inspired by particular rock songs, and Holy Diver is so high on the list. Also, everything by Jimi Hendrix, circling back to our Purple Mist from the very beginning of the video. Purple Haze and All Along the Watchtower, super influential. He literally quotes a line from All Along the Watchtower in
This is it?
Fire and Blood.
Pod is really good at finding those too. When you see
Oh my gosh.
he's really good at finding those references.
I am such a fan of the notion that the idea of like the maesters and like the maesters wearing a chain is in part inspired by this guy here. And also it being Euron winning the King's Moot. This is kind of like being on Naga's Hill and, oh shit, I'm a holy man. I thought I understood how this worked. And oh shit, the demon arose and threw me for a fucking loop, which is also what Euron's going to do with the High Tower and the Citadel and Old Town and the Faith. This is such deep and elaborate tinfoil of mine that it would take a half hour, and we're already kind of winding down.
Well, we can find you on Twitter.
I think you've earned your tinfoil links, each and every one.
I
would say well done and respect.
It's a good name.
Hell yeah. Love it. I love it.
Kolnitsky doesn't get why Laris likes feet. Listen, I don't like feet either. I don't get it. That was like the one thing I give the House of the Dragons show credit for, because they shocked me.
Shit was
did not see that coming, and it felt very human.
Awkward.
Very human.
Very human and very shocking.
And I hate to say it, like as a woman, I went through the whole stream without saying something that'll get me canceled, but it's time to get canceled. As a woman, like if I'm going to be exploited for sex, I would rather it be you looking at my feet.
I would rather it be feet pics.
Just look at the damn feet.
Out of all the sexual exploitation of women, it's not good. It's not good. I'm not a Larys defender. I'm just saying there are worse sexual exploiters of women in Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire than foot fetish Larys.
And the show did such a good job. Like, even though some people might say it's just feet, the show still took sexual assault seriously because you saw how Alice was uncomfortable. You saw how she took off the sock and she was like, man, I hate that I have to take off the sock. Just her taking off the sock, the acting was like, you could tell she was like, I don't want to do this and I hate that I have to do this. It means to an end. And then you see her show the feet and then you see her look away. Like, thank you, show, for showing that sexual assault is serious. But also, yeah, let me choose. Yeah. I'm going to choose that door.
So awkward.
Most tolerable cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still disgusting, still shocking, still humanizing, and like, yes. Question for Westeros and Chill. What are the factors in clutch count? Okay, you answered that. Bitranero, you have to look up an old SNL skit called Dog Show with Will Ferrell. You and Doggo will love it. Did you see that?
Jackie, yeah. I'm sure you're right. What's that?
Carl Karsmark, he says, Bitranero, you have to look up an old SNL skit called Dog Show with Will Ferrell. You and Doggo would love it.
What is it?
SNL, an SNL skit with Will Ferrell.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
Oh, okay. You know
what you're talking about.
She was ahead of all of us.
Pod says Drogo was Frodo's father.
Frodo rhymes with Drodo, almost.
Pod is the scourge of the earth, and I love that he's here. Well-fed dragons lay more eggs, perhaps. Phil, yeah, I guess. And what do you think? Do you think diet would dictate what kind of eggs you lay? Like if you're feasting on men because it's wartime versus when you're just feasting on sheep during peacetime? That's something.
Yeah, it might make the eggs stronger if you're feasting on stronger food.
Poison eggs.
Fed eggs.
Euron going to ride a kraken. He better fucking ride a kraken, and a kraken better just be a water dragon. I don't want to see no octopus shit. I want it to look more like a kraken. I mean, not a kraken. Loch Ness. I want it to look more like a Loch Ness. Trying to go through the Park Snarker's dropping some awesome music. Holy
yeah, you pointed out that All Along the Watchtower is originally Bob Dylan. I know that, Carl. We talked about this on the LML stream. For a while, I was harassing David Lightbringer and pointing out that he's in Fire and Blood as Lucinda Broom.
Now, Jackie, yeah, go ahead.
Also, can I just also say, so George R. R. Martin has gone on the record saying that all of A Song of Ice and Fire was inspired by the lyrics to a Grateful Dead song.
No, really?
And that's where he originally got the idea to start writing.
I have.
So that has happened. But also, I wanted to say, listen to the song Newborn Awakening by Jim Morrison. Not by The Doors, but by Jim Morrison. I really think that inspired some things as well. Okay. Just to go along with that.
I met someone at the con whose entire personality was Grateful Dead references in Game of Thrones. And like we were like drunk at the bar talking, like he like listed like 20 different things and he's still going. And I was like, I never heard of Grateful Dead. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think
I'm aware that they're there. I have not listened to anything. I've still got like 3 different things. Like Jorah and Sigil is like the Grateful Dead bears. There's a pun involving Illyrio and filling a cheese grater. And that is literally with knowing almost nothing about Grateful Dead except George loves them. And if any band is influencing things, it is the Grateful Dead. But it's not a band I know. I know Rainbow in the Dark. I know Holy Diver because my girlfriend listened to a Pandora that had it on. And sorry, I tangented.
Let's go back to
the Red Wedding, by the way.
Back to sex. Jackie C says, she said Larys likes feet because he's club-footed. I don't know why I forgot that. Yeah, that's another thing that's like, you always want what you can't have, and it becomes like a sexual thing. Like, my mommy doesn't listen to me, so now I have now I'm really into boobs. Like, you know, the thing that you don't have influences sex. Thank you, guys. Jackie C says earrings. Oh, yay. Thank you for noticing my Christmas spirit. You guys hear this? Jingle bells, jingle bells. Eat a frave pie.
Frave pie. Look, there's one right here. There's 3 hidden in the room, but there's
Oh
one.
my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Allie has them wrapped around her little finger toe, as it were. Disgusting, Carl. Doctor, I think certain women writers help the dragons lay eggs. Exactly, Jackie C. We didn't touch on that in this stream, but so many other people have talked about it. Where like every time we see a clutch of eggs, a Targaryen woman is pregnant usually, or they're around a Targaryen woman who has been pregnant. Oh, another thing Jackie C said, like a maester wears a chain because they were once slaves, as a question mark. I don't think that's true. I think it reminds people of being a slave, like the chains. Like I think Tarly's dad says something. Sam Tarly says something to that effect of like, oh, chain like a maester, kind of like.
If it is chains you want, follow me.
Huh?
If it is chains you want, follow me. And then
yeah, but maybe it's show. Maybe it's show says that like something.
No, it's Randall Tarly saying it to Sam when he wants to be a maester.
Poor Sam.
Yeah, but I don't think they were ever slaves, right, guys? Like, there's no connection.
No, nothing in the universe.
No, I don't recall that.
I think the symbolism is there's something there with like it's a symbolic evocation, but nothing in the text that says maesters used to be slaves.
Oh, okay, here we go. Carl Karsnack says the collar is intended to remind a maester of the realm he serves.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's the connection, Jackie C. Hope that answered it for you. Let's see. Oh, Jackie C. She says she knows all that, but she's talking about the origin of the chain. Could be. Could be.
I could see something like that.
Yeah, especially since like the maesters are kind of like no one, since their last name is taken from them. They're supposed to be kind of like more anonymous and serving the realm. So,
Nettles, you're so on my wavelength.
No one. Yeah, I have a book club with Bitch Rainier and like other people, and like I'm always talking about, no one is a lot of people.
Yes.
And you have to be no one to access magic. You have to be no one to like do a lot of things. Like you have to shed who you are before you can like. I'm looking at the wiki and doesn't say anything about being slaves. Okay, makes sense why they have no love for dragons. Okay, we're caught up with the chat. So now we're gonna wrap up. I just want to hear you guys just give your last little thing about anything that we talked about. Remember talking about the eggs, talking about the nature of dragons, talking about the end game. Like, why did I make a video called Dreamfyre, calling Dreamfyre slut? First of all, shock jock. When I say I'm Nettles, I'm a potty mouth shock jock. I just wanted to catch y'all's attention. But why am I talking about it? Because I think it's important to the end game. Like, Daenerys is important, so the eggs have to be important. So yeah, just want to hear you guys' takes. I'm just kind of like signing off.
Renier, look, you were wanting to go.
I think Daenerys is important because, as we have discussed in the book club Discord, Lady Thistle, she needs to be sacrificed in the end to forge Lightbringer.
I don't like that one.
She gotta get stuck.
Don't be killing my Daenerys.
And stuck good.
Y'all killed her in the show. Y'all not gonna kill her in the books.
Yeah.
I go back and forth.
Eye contact.
That's my queen.
And John's gonna do it. Strokes, Baggins.
And I guess that's good because that would be the dragon eating its tail, which is the dance of the dragons. Like the dragons themselves fucking themselves over by Jon killing Daenerys. I mean, like it ties in. Yeah.
Jon Stark, the one true Stark.
Varian.
Westeros, do you have anything? I mean, you do, but I want to hear you. I'm calling you out.
I really agree with what you just said about the dragon eating its own tail, and that is Jon killing Daenerys. I think it is going to happen that way in the books if we ever goddamn get these freaking books that I've been waiting
say
for.
that
They're
now.
like, it's been so long. Come on, give them to
I
me.
know.
I'm
What
sick
the
of
I know, I
reading
was
other
saying
things.
earlier, I'm like, we don't even care what the end is. We're like, I'll settle for like pod living, and that'll be fine. That's enough. Like,
I'll settle with one dragon being alive at the end.
yeah,
And we all know it's going to be Drogon. So,
Hmm.
here's my tattoo of Drogon.
Oh, nice.
Rad.
That is a
So,
yeah.
thank you. So thank you for having me. I do have to go, but thank you for having me and my snakes.
Thank you for your
And
knowledge.
Thank you so
I
much for
do
bringing
have
me.
my sorry, go ahead.
just to say thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us our scientific
Yeah.
insight through experience, and like the stream wouldn't be the same without you. Sorry, now you go ahead.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And I do have my YouTube channel. I haven't done anything with it in a while, but I'm hoping to get back into it. No promises. But I do want to make a video about all the things that I talked about today about dragons and reptiles. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Please just go ahead and subscribe to Westeros and Chill. It'll be linked in the bio for all of you guys watching the playback. I'm not the bio. The description of this video, you'll find the link. So just click through, click subscribe. Like she said, videos aren't promised. Just fucking subscribe. Okay.
And I want to try to do more drunk history as well with more guests too.
Yes, drunk history is very fun. Very fun.
Bye, Jane.
All right, I'm out of here. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
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 Okay, cool. And then there were 3. Okay, Tinfoil, what are your last takes?
All right. I am super sold by your Dreamfyre as a slut framework. I think the Dany who dreams fire into existence as analog of Dreamfyre. They're both the mother of these 3 dragons in different ways. Really works really well with like the men that the 3 dragons are paired to. We had that like exchange in the DMs about how the Aegon, Rider of Quicksilver, and Rhaena, Rider of Dreamfyre, hiding at Craykall is very like analogous to Dany and Viserys' time in exile, including like Craykall and Dari being the people who took Dany and Viserys into hiding, both having the same like sigil color scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And Maegor and Balerion are just so Drogo coded, including like the coma and the witch who does something magic at the end of the coma period.
The witch ends their line basically because we know that Maegor never is able to have kids, and Mary Mazur's her whole thing is like there is not gonna be no stallion. Like I'm getting rid of the line.
Right, like it is this order that is doing whatever it is with like these Rhaego, Maegor, Dragon Abomination babies. And
But do you agree or disagree about Vhagar being Rhaegar? Because
you sold me on Vhagar. My Vermithor thing is tied up too heavily in my Statue of Liberty tinfoil.
What's that?
Too long for a sign off. But
okay.
All the Alyssas, Alicents are all Alice in Wonderland, Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty, Wonderland thing. That's why Alison Hightower changes into a green dress. It's why Alyssa Farman does everything she does.
The green dress is very Statue of Liberty coded.
And the copper hair, which is also Rowan Weber and Catelyn Tully.
Then kiss my fire bitches. Okay.
Right?
That's good. I like that.
But yeah, the parallels to the men the dragons are named for in Drogo, Viserion, and Viserys and Rhaegar, I think, are probably the biggest clues as to who the fathers of Dreamfyre's 3 eggs are. And yeah, I'm sold on the framework and sold on the baby daddies.
Yay. Obviously, yeah. I'm sold on my framework. I do like to test myself, just like what's the purpose of like a dissertation or any scientific journal? It's like, here are my ideas. Please dispute them so I could see if I was right or not. So that's what we have until now. Maybe House of the Dragon will disprove all of it.
Right.
Who knows what we'll see. And I guess we're still waiting on a volume 2 of Fire and Blood.
Yes.
That might give us insight, maybe more on how the eggs got there. Got to Essos, I mean, like, so we'll see. So maybe we might revisit this again once we have more content and be like, okay, we were wrong. Like, or us.
Everything was wrong.
Let's start all over again. But yeah, it was fun. I hope you guys had fun at home watching us. Wait, was someone saying something? No, okay. Baggins, anything?
Baggins knows he's a star.
Get that Stark out of here. We're talking Targaryen things. But but yeah, I guess we're signing off. Thank you guys again for everything. And
thanks for having me.
Great holiday season, everybody. And we'll see you later.
Bye everybody.
Bye.